I can't explain it, and you wouldn't believe it.
Escape now. Hug later.
Neither of them noticed Luke stepping closer. Rey did a double-take, her eyes catching the silhouette of a man she didn't recognize, but somehow knew. You're Luke Skywalker." Luke offered a small nod and extended his hand. Rey hesitated. Something about it didn't feel right. It wasn't disrespect, it was instinct. Instead of shaking his hand, she stepped forward and embraced him. Luke, taken aback for a moment, returned the hug with quiet understanding. "Thank you," Rey whispered. It was simple, but deeply sincere. Han watched from a few steps back, arms crossed. It was a sweet moment, unexpectedly heartfelt. If only they weren't trapped in a First-Order fortress with stormtroopers closing in. "Let's have the party later," he said finally, breaking the moment. "Right now, we need to move." Reunited at last, the group turned toward the corridor, stepping back into the shadows and the danger ahead. Together. TIE fighters surged into the sky, launching from the First Order base in wave after wave. Their engines screamed as they climbed, ready to intercept the Resistance squadrons. But there was nothing to intercept. The X-Wings were gone, vanished into hyperspace moments before. Confusion rippled through the TIE formations as pilots scanned the skies for targets that no longer existed. Their once coordinated assault turned chaotic as ships nearly collided mid-air, scrambling to avoid each other in the packed airspace. The group moved swiftly through the lower corridors of the First Order installation, weaving between towering columns, ducts, and dimly lit support beams. The sound of distant blaster fire echoed through the walls, but for the moment their path remained clear. Han slowed to a stop near a junction and turned to the others. "Hey, my friend here's still lugging around a bag full of explosives we didn't even use," he said with a thumb toward Chewbacca. "Be ashamed to make him haul them all the way back to the Falcon." Chewbacca grunted in flat agreement, the weight of the duffel pulling at his shoulder. Finn and Rey exchanged quick glances and nodded. No sense wasting good charges. Without further prompting, the group began placing the small but potent explosives at key points along the corridor, behind support struts, near pipe junctions, and beneath reinforced walkways. Each placement was quick, efficient. They didn't have time to be precise. They just needed to leave a mark. Luke brought up the rear, watching the hall behind them with quiet focus. He moved slowly, purposefully, his lightsaber clipped but ever ready. His eyes drifted closed briefly as he extended his senses outward, then he stopped. "Something's wrong," Luke murmured, his voice calm but alert. Han turned. "What is it?" Luke looked around slowly. "Ben knows we're here, and he's close, very close." Han froze, eyes narrowing. The name hit him like a wave. Ben, Leia's son, his son. He could still hear her voice in his mind, soft but firm, "Bring him home." Finn, oblivious to the moment's wait, shouted from down the hall, "Let's go!" But it was too late. A single stormtrooper had spotted them from the shadows. He didn't engage, just turned and bolted around a corner, activating his comm link as he went. "Enemy sighted. Armory Bay 6. Send reinforcements." Luke pivoted, his instincts already firing. A blaster bolt cut through the air. He deflected it instantly, sending the energy hurtling back down the corridor. A sharp scream echoed, then silence. Luke lowered his blade. "We have to move, now." They advanced quickly but carefully. Up ahead, Han and Chewbacca took cover behind a large crate, watching as 3 troopers approached a reinforced service hatch, smaller than most major blast doors. Han noted the size. "Could be lightly guarded," he whispered. "Let's hope." As the hatch began to open, Chewbacca didn't wait. He surged forward and fired. His bowcaster dropped the center trooper with a concussive blast. The others raised their weapons, but Han was faster. 2 clean shots, 2 bodies down. The alarm klaxons began blaring again, louder now, closer. Inside, the service corridor was dim and narrow, lined with power conduits and maintenance panels. The trooper who had reported them was nowhere to be seen. Han figured he had done the smart thing, retreated, and waited for backup. Chewbacca let out a deep, uneasy groan. Han nodded grimly. "Yeah, I've got the same feeling." Finn and Chewie quickly divided the remaining explosives. Rey covered the corridor behind them, her grip firm on her blaster. Luke too lingered near the rear, lightsaber at his side. "Plant them at every other support column," Han instructed. "We don't need to take down the whole structure, just make it hurt." Chewbacca replied with a series of growls, a mixture of concern and practicality. Han paused, then nodded. "Right. We don't have enough for everything. We focus on one, the biggest one." He pointed across the chamber to the largest support column visible. "We concentrate everything there. You take the top, I'll go low. Meet you back here in 5. Luke stepped forward. "We shouldn't split up." Han shook his head. "Go, I'll catch up." There was an edge in his voice. Final, maybe. Finn frowned. "What's he doing?" he whispered to Luke. But Luke didn't answer. Han and Chewbacca locked eyes. It was the kind of look only two old friends could share. No need for words, just a quiet, mutual understanding of two beings who'd faced death together more times than they could count. Han broke the silence with a firm gesture. "Go, before things get messy." Chewbacca hesitated, then turned and left, taking Rey and Finn with him. Luke gave Han a final glance, then moved on to cover the others. Han watched them disappear down the corridor. Then finally, he moved. He crouched by the base of the support column and began the work of setting the charges. His hands were steady, but his mind was racing. There were things unsaid, things unresolved. Leia, Ben. But there would be time for that later. For now, he had a job to do. He tightened a charge, locked it in place, and moved down to the lower level to finish what he'd started. While Han Solo worked with quiet urgency to set the last of the explosive charges beneath the main support beam, another figure stalked the complex above, driven by something far more personal than orders. Kylo Ren. Around him, a squad of elite stormtroopers stood ready, snapping to attention at his arrival. Ren ignored them. His mind was elsewhere, locked onto a presence he could sense just out of reach. Without a word, a nearby trooper activated the massive entry doors. The heavy portal groaned open. At Ren's signal, the squad followed him inside. The interior of the structure swallowed them in shadow and low light. Machinery thrummed around them, alive with humming energy. Tall walls and glowing conduits lined the vast space, giving the sense that the entire building was breathing. Ren came to a halt. He closed his eyes briefly, his senses reaching outward. The silence was heavy. Then he opened them. "They're here," he said. His voice was low but certain. He gestured toward the upper walkways that wound around the chamber. "Up there. Find them." Without hesitation, the stormtroopers broke off in formation, climbing toward the high platforms. Their boots clanged rhythmically on the metal as they disappeared into the upper levels. But Kylo Ren turned in the opposite direction. He descended, deeper into the structure. As the stormtroopers ascended, checking corners and clearing passageways with perfect discipline, a pair of eyes watched them from the shadows, unblinking, waiting. Chewbacca. The Wookiee pressed himself against the wall, silent as a statue. When the last pair of boots passed, he slipped out and continued his task, setting another explosive charge with deft hands and a low, focused growl. Below, Han had just finished placing his final charge when a faint sound caught his attention. A footstep. Not the clang of boots or the hum of systems, something else. He froze and shifted behind one of the vertical support columns. His fingers brushed the blaster at his hip, but he didn't draw. He waited. Then, through the lattice of beams and pipes, he saw him. A solitary figure, pausing at a railing, looking out over the massive, silent chamber. His black cloak drifted slightly with each movement. His head turned slowly, scanning the expanse. Even without the mask, Han would have known that silhouette anywhere. Ben. The air seemed to still. From behind cover, Han stared, his lips moved silently. Maybe he whispered a name. Maybe he said nothing at all. But it was enough to wake the ache in his chest. Kylo Ren scanned the support beams, then began moving again, heading directly for the column Han had just vacated. He stopped in front of it, staring into the shadows, but Han was gone. From a narrow utility recess built into the wall, Han watched his son pass by. The space between them was no more than a few feet. Han pressed back, breath held, the sound of Ren's boots once again the only rhythm in the chamber. Kylo moved out onto a narrow walkway that crossed above the central core. He paused halfway across, standing still. The lights from below painted his features in shifting bands of red and blue. He looked around slowly, hesitant, uncertain. Han stepped out of hiding. He watched the distance widen between them. Then he looked back, toward the way he'd come, the exit, the escape route. If he left now, he could still make it out, slip past the patrols, rejoin Rey and Finn, get back to the Falcon and off this frozen hell, and yet he didn't move. He closed his eyes for a moment, and her voice came back to him, Leia's voice, gentle but firm, wounded but full of hope. Bring him home. Han turned back toward the walkway. The choice was made. He moved into the open and called out across the chasm. Ben! The sound reverberated across the massive open core of the containment complex, traveling far into the shadows and empty air. High above, conduits pulsed and structure beams moaned under the weight of the encroaching dark energy, but for a single breathless moment, the only sound was silence. On the far side of the suspended walkway, the black-clad figure stopped. He turned. Kylo Ren stared across the divide at the older man, the words already forming on his lips.
Han Solo, I've been waiting for this day for a long time.
Han stood tall, his voice low but unwavering.
Take off that mask. You don't need it.
What do you think you'll see if I do?
The face of my son.
A long pause followed. Then, slowly, deliberately, Kylo reached up. The magnetic locks clicked as he removed the helmet and lowered it. And for the first time in years, Han saw his son's face. No longer the boy he remembered, but not yet a man beyond saving. There was hardness in his features, a storm behind the eyes. But there was something else, too. Pain. Up above, Finn and Rey reached a ledge overlooking the chamber. They froze. Luke was already there, standing silently, his eyes locked on the two figures facing each other below. He didn't turn to acknowledge them. He didn't speak. He simply watched. Rey's mouth opened slightly, stunned. It's him. Kylo's gaze darkened. Your son is gone.
He was weak and foolish, like his father. So I destroyed him.
He let the insult hang in the air. Han took another step forward, ignoring the sting in those words. That's what Snoke wants you to believe. But it's not true.
My son is alive.
No.
A low rumble grew around them, but neither man moved. In the distance, Chewbacca had found a vantage point as well, watching in still silence, bowcaster lowered. Even a squad of stormtroopers had stopped nearby, captivated by the confrontation, uncertain whether to interrupt or await orders. Kylo's voice rose, trembling between rage and defiance.
The Supreme Leader is wise.
He sees who I really am, who I could become. And he sees you too, Han Solo. Not a general, not a hero, just a smuggler, a criminal. Han smirked faintly. Well, he said, he's not entirely wrong. That flicker of humor, that spark of who Han Solo had always been, lingered in the air like smoke. Then Han's tone shifted. He stepped out onto the narrow walkway, slowly approaching his son. Snoke's using you, he said. He's using your power, and when he's gotten everything he wants from you, he'll discard you. That's what he does. And deep down,
You know it's true.
Kylo faltered. Han took another step. I don't want anything from you. I'm not trying to take you back. I'm just telling you the truth because someone needs to. And because... He hesitated. Your mother misses you. The words hit home. Kylo Ren's lips trembled. His hands balled into fists at his sides. His eyes glistened, not with fury, but with something far more dangerous to his mask of darkness. Tears.
It's too late.
No, it's not. Leave here with me. Come home.
Han stopped a few feet away. Let me help you. There was no plea in his voice, just quiet, unconditional love.
I'm being torn apart. I want to be free of this pain. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Will you help me?
Yes, anything.
Ben slowly reached for his lightsaber. He unclipped it from his belt and held it out, extended toward his father. His fingers trembled. So did Han's breath. Above,
Finn grabbed Rey's arm.
"We have to stop this." Luke didn't move. His face was calm, though pain was etched into every line. He has to make the choice. Han stepped forward, reaching for the saber with both hands. For a moment, time itself seemed to slow. Ben looked into his father's eyes, and Han looked into his son's. Then the light vanished. And in that instant, the red blade ignited. It pierced Han's chest clean through.
Thank you.
Han looked into the face of his child one last time. There was nothing left to say. No final words. Only memories of laughter, of friends, of the boy he once carried in his arms. He reached out, not in anger, but in forgiveness, and touched Ben's face gently. Then he fell. The blade deactivated as Han's body tumbled into the abyss, vanishing into the darkness that now consumed the chamber.